Why'd I lose so many frames just then? What the hell just happened? Why did that happen? Not running anything. Yeah, it's back now. I shouldn't be running anything that yeah. Stream's back, but I wasn't running anything like literally at all. Can you hear me now though? Are we back? Looks like I'm back. Are we live? Everything looks okay. I don't know why that just happened. Random stream hiccup. Yeah, just for some reason I randomly lost connection for a moment. That's annoying. Now I'm gonna have to split this into 2 parts when I upload the VOD. Let's refresh this for a moment. Do 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 da da do da 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 da. Yeah, yeah. I'm live. I'm live. I exist now. Mr. Mustache, are you there? Echo, echo, echo. Yeah, yeah, there was an echo for a moment because I didn't have the desktop audio off. Yeah, and everything's running just fine now. I don't know why I lost connection for a moment there. That was weird. Anyways, as always, ISPs be a bitch sometimes, yeah. Like, literally, it was momentary. I didn't even lose, like, internet. It was only, like, OBS connection. I don't have much of anything open. I have Discord, I have YouTube Studios, and I have OBS open. I was going to say, despite having a good few criticisms of FNAF, Afton was not one of them. The way they framed him with Springtrap costume was creepy as hell, especially with juxtaposed with the other animatronics. Yeah. And like I said, the weakest part of that movie was just when they were killing the intruders. I mean, there was an interesting kill with that Freddy robot, but like everything else, eh. I'm just not into that whole hunting down someone, murdering them kind of thing. That's why I've never been into Halloween. It's why I've never been into Friday the 13th. Why I've never been into Chucky. Never been into the Alien movies. Argue that the brothers were the weakest link, focused on them took away from the animatronics. Yeah, there is a bit of that. Like, if they had managed to tie in the brother a bit more than just, oh yeah, Afton got him. Like, if his brother was, like, in one of the animatronics, then it would have paid off. Though, to be fair, I think biggest weakness the movie has being PG-13 instead of R was no way in hell that was going to happen to the target audience. Well, one, yeah, you're right with it wouldn't work with the target audience. But two, it didn't need to be R. It didn't need to be. Because you can be horror without being rated R. The fucking FNAF games aren't even rated at M. At least I don't think they are. So making an R version of it wouldn't make sense. You're just upping it at that point. Trying to be R, originally tried to be criminals, hint to that. Yeah, I know they changed some of the kills there. But also, it was maybe like Blumhouse, and they make a lot of horror slasher stuff. And a lot of things get left on the cutting room floor, as they say. There were like, and especially with that movie, it went through so many rewrites, so many different scripts. Still find it funny most people meme that the lawyer was the best character. He really was, though. What's so funny about that is in the book they make him really sleazy, and Scott Coffin had to be like, "Nah, we are not going with this book version of the lawyer ever again. That is not conducive to what we intended." But for me, the lawyer was just like he wanted out of every scene with that fucking bitch. Anytime he was just there, just like I need to go. So it's not even just a meme. That's a they're kind of right. That poor lawyer. He's just always in that scene, just like I shouldn't be hearing this. He's always trying to leave the booth, always be like, no, I can't be hearing this. I'm supposed to be defending you. Hi, Pickles. Welcome to the stream. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We're reading Goosebump HorrorLand, second book, Creep from the Deep today, by R.L. Stine. Glad you could make it in, even if only for a moment. Psychopathic robots possessed by dead children's alright in my book, but a morally questionable legal attorney? That's going too far. I think the book one just didn't represent the character as they intended for them to be represented. That was the big issue. V2 models back. Yeah, because we're reading today, so I don't have to have a game open on my computer. I also am able to use my model whenever I'm using my capture card. Like Scott, but that was a goofy way to go about it. Yeah, it's more like a press statement on that, or like an official statement on it. I can see fish. Yeah, they're here. The fishy fish. I mean, heaven forbid they actually, heaven forbid they actually remedy that before the book releases, but whatever. Lawyer was funny. I should not be hearing this. I just realized if Ina comes in today of all days and hears me reading this sea surrounding Goosebump book, I'm never going to hear the end of it. I will not ever hear the end of it. Anyways, chapter 8. Cold shiver stiffened my back. I stared at the empty seat next to me. No, no, it's impossible, I screamed. Sinead jerked her body around, looked up. The hatch, she muttered. Is it open? Did he? I jumped to my feet, pulled myself up to the hatch. locked tight. But he couldn't have vanished in thin air. Hope that more indie horror games get media though. I know Iron Lungs getting a movie by Markiplier. That yeah, I can't remember if this is true, but I think I heard that they're trying to do something with Bendy and the Ink Machine. I don't remember if that was true or not, or if that was scrapped. I know Hello Neighbor has a TV show, but like, man. So here's the thing. Here's the thing with Hello Neighbor. Personally, wouldn't mind seeing a buckshot roulette show a few years in the future. I don't know anything about buckshot roulette. I know it's like a it's like this weird choice game, but I didn't know it actually had a story to it. But anyways, the thing with Hello Neighbor, it started off good, really good, and then it kind of went. It tried to like grasp at that indie horror mystery thing, and just like completely fumbled the bag. People lost interest. And then when it did find a solid footing for itself, it had already lost a lot of its audience. See, Matt Pat actually went back before he retired, read over the series, and watched the pilot, the trailer. And there's a lot of interesting stuff they're doing with that at now. But yeah, they already lost a lot of their target audience. They have some good ideas in there, but trying to do it full indie horror like FNAF did is not working for them. They needed to come out and let's put it this way: if they had like workshopped this to the way they have it now, instead of the way they were trying to do it for that period of time where they lost everyone's interest, it'd be a much better off series right now. Because they'd have everything in order. They'd have all their ducks lined up. They'd have their mystery. It wouldn't just be grasping at straws and whatnot during that period, and they wouldn't have lost the interest of people. You can call it growing pains, but unfortunately, those growing pains really hurt their audience. Amnesia never saw someone coming up with a TV series, at least. What's funny, I just remembered the zero punctuation review of that. They they're still using the engine from the first game, apparently. That's wild to me. I instantly thought of that. Just like, man, if they don't even have a budget for a new engine, where are they gonna get a budget for a TV show? Like, it's one thing if it were like an engine developed just for to like work with something. For example, the Sonic games have had multiple engines, and I think they're working on. They try to work in one now called like the Sonic engine, just straight up like that. But some engines just get outdated, and you need to replace them. Wouldn't put it past them. Still say the weakest game is second game was weakest. 3 is largely because they outsourced the game to Chinese room. See, I'm never got into Amnesia. Just didn't particularly catch my interest because once again, I'm a scared little bitch. I'm just surprised there aren't like a lot of Goosebump games because this is not a small series anymore. You can make a bitchin' adventure game out of this. Forget any other type of game. You could do like, yeah, sure, you could do like a 2D platformer, 3D platform. Actually, no, 3D platformer. If you did in HorrorLand, No, there is something to that. But like an actual like adventure game, you could do that with such ease with the Goosebumps series. You could pump out a lot of those. But then again, they might grow stale that way. Maybe a puzzle platformer would also be good if you went the HorrorLand route. There's something you could do with Goosebumps. Argue it comes to IP management. They really don't know how to handle it. R.L. Stine just keeps pumping out these fucking books, and like that's it. They're just making TV shows. They made a movie, two of them, and they don't really do much else. You can do more with it. Come on. There's something to work with here. Man with glasses and receding hairline keeping a company alive. I mean, is he? It's published by Scholastic. I don't know what other series Scholastic has under their belt right now that is currently producing new books. Oh wait, there's Dave Prickley. He did the Captain Underpants and Ricky Ricardo and his giant robot. Uh, I th- I think he's still making the cat and dog police comic series under Scholastic. I want to say. I think those are still being produced. And once again, that's another series that has a TV show but no video games. Also, those TV shows were the TV show for Captain Underpants. That was actually really good. That was so good. Like, it's for kids. There's a lot of toilet humor and whatnot, but it's Captain Underpants. You go in expecting that. It was pretty damn funny. It gives a lot of gives Chowder vibes, if that helps. Maybe not as adult as Chowder could be, but it gave like that same type of humor as Chowder. So if you want like a just a really funny kids cartoon, go watch Cat in Underpants and then Cat in Underpants in Space. And I can't remember. Yeah, it's Cat in Underpants. Space. Movie was pretty good actually. I didn't read Cat in Underpants, but Beyonce did. Went in not expecting much, but was pleasantly surprised. Oh yeah, the movie was pretty good. The movie seems to like try to combine like multiple things okay-ish. It uses it's kind of weird because it uses the starting plot of book 1, of course. Then it uses the fairground from book 2. I want to say might be book 3. And then it uses the main plot for Professor Poopy Pants from book 4. So it like mixes a lot of the early books. I want to say it was book 2 that there was a fairground thing. Yeah, just some interesting things if you never read them. They're pretty fun kids books though. Great sense of humor. Um, there's a store called Everything but Fabric Softener. It was all for like one gag. So, at the start of this like two-parter with Merlin and the it's like a really long name. It's booger based. Um, they make a comic where Captain Underpants loses his power because he gets too much starch in his underpants, and fabric softener is used to save him. And then later, he's he gets hit with like starch spray IRL, and he's just like, "No, I can't fight back. There's too much starch. I've lost my powers." It's like, okay, you gotta go get fabric softener. All right, let's run down the street. There's gotta be a store. Yeah, there's this new store. It's called Everything But. They get to the store. It's everything but fabric softener. Uh, it was a great build up to that gag. Anyways, they end up making another comic and just have like this whole you just have to believe in yourself kind of thing for him to just lift himself up, use his powers again. Anyways, that ended up being the solution. They're like drawing really fast as to while these fucking robot boogers, or well, Merlin as a cyborg robot booger thing was terrorizing the city. Or not Merlin, Melvin. And they actually go back to that store, or in the part 2 book, where Melvin's been freed, but the boogers have split into 3 different robot booger things. And they take things that are like just standing in front of the store and start flinging at them. One of them throws shoes, they get eaten. Another one throws like anti-itch cream, just gets eaten, nothing happens. And then Captain Underpants throws an orange and it gets eaten. But the one that ate an orange fucking died. Like the moment the juices just hit it, just like great. The series is great. It's a great kid series. Sorry. Back to Goosebumps. He couldn't have vanished into thin air, Janae said in a whisper. Dr. D! Dr. D! She began shouting his name. Can you hear us? Silence. The sub rocked gently. The black cloud had completely lifted. I slumped in Dr. D's seat. Shanae and I stared at each other. I knew we were both thinking the same thing. That pirate captain and his ship, I said. Disappeared in a black cloud, remember? I feel like there's a joke in there somewhere. Oh, with his name being Dr. D. No, Billy, don't say that, Shanae cried, grabbing my arm. They were never seen again. Don't say that. Don't. We'll find Dr. D. I know we will. Okay, I said. Let go of me. You're hurting me. I didn't realize she kept squeezing my arm. Billy, what are we going to do? I meant the orange thing. Wouldn't be surprised with Stine doing that too. Oh. Well, it's because the whole reason it was like booger based, because Merlin was trying to fuse himself with this robot endoskeleton. And because he had been humiliated by George and Harold doing a thing. Because basically what had happened was he made this fusion ray. And he used it on his gerbil and a cybernetic endoskeleton and fused them together. And he brought it to school for show and tell. And I was real impressed with it at first. And then, like, Jordan Harold did something that ended up upstaging him. Oh, yeah, right. It was Squishies. That was it. It's where they put ketchup packets underneath the little the nubs on a toilet seat. So when someone sat down, they get ketchup all over their legs. And the class liked that more. And at this point, their teacher had been like had some sort of mood switch thing on her, so she was no longer a massive bitch, and she was really nice. Ace now, so completely upstages or Melvin because they're elementary schoolers, and they just go nuts for it, completely disregarding his scientific breakthrough. Only that could work today. I mean, it could kind of work today. You just gotta position it right. Granted, please don't do that. It's very mean. This is a this is a fictional book prank. Anyways, they make a comic. It, uh, Melvin feels insulted by it. And then he goes and makes the endoskeleton. But he sneezes during the fusion process, and that's what makes the whole booger thing. Because he gets like this handful of snot, and then all three get fused. Also, they go on a field trip to a Kleenex factory, and at the end, there's like free samples of Kleenexes. Everyone gets some. They're just like, yeah, whatever. Melvin gets some and just like, oh, no! Oh, and it's like, his brain's deteriorated at this point, kind of like a Frankenstein monster. And the curator just thinks, oh, maybe he just doesn't have enough tissues. Let me help you with that. Just keeps giving him more. He just goes fucking nuts. It's like, okay, I know he just got really, really, really angry, but maybe if I gave him more tissues. Sorry, we keep getting distracted by a comedy book that I'm not even reading today. One of them ought to work. Thanks for the hydrate, Pickles. Like, he was giving him, like, those portable packages of tissues, not like single tissues. They're like those portable packs of them. Where they'll, have like maybe 15, 20 tissues in a little rectangle. Alright. Really, what are we gonna do? I had to answer the question, grip the wheel hard, try to fight my panic. Here we were, suddenly all alone, near the bottom of the ocean, in a tiny submarine. How will we find Dr. D? How much air do we have? How do we get back to the Cassandra? Are all three of us going to disappear? Every question sent shiver after shiver down my back. I gripped the wheel tighter, struggling to think. Strong currents rocked us from side to side. The twin lights on the front couldn't cut through the dark waters. The radio! The radio! I cried. We can call for help. Reached for the radio receiver. Do you know how to work it? Shanae asked in a tiny voice. No, I said, but maybe I can figure it out. I pushed the two buttons behind the speaker. Hello? Hello? Can anyone hear me? Silence. Hello? Push more buttons. Hello? Is anyone there? Silence. Couldn't even get any static. We're down too far. We're down too far, I said. Radio won't work at its depth. Shanae was hugging herself, trying to stay calm. Get us back to the surface, she snapped. If we can get back to the Cassandra, we can radio for help. I leaned over the control panel, my hand trembling as I pushed the yellow ignition button. Hey, To my surprise, the engine roared to life. Yes! Sinead cried. We got power! Bring us up, Billy! Hurry! I pushed my foot down on the accelerator, pushed the stick up all the way. Whoa, what's wrong? I gasped. We nosed down hard. I hit my head against the glass. I saw a flashing burst of red. Felt a cry of pain. Sinead screamed, pulled the stick down, then up again. Kept falling faster, as if a strong force was sucking us down. Pull us up! Pull us up! Sinead cried, frantically slamming her heads on the control board, staring into the beams of light in front of us. They were tilting down. What is that? I gasped. I think it's the ship, Sinead cried. A sunken ship. Do something, Billy! Do something! We're going to crash right into it! Chapter 9. It was all happening too fast to think. The dark form of the sunken ship rose up in front of us. Stop, stop, stop! Didn't even realize I was screaming the word over and over. A hard bounce sent me spilling forward, hit the control panel. To my shock, the engine sputtered and died. To the murky water, I stared down at the sunken ship, tilted nearly on its side on the ocean floor. I saw broken masts, tattered sails, covered in algae. A ragged hole, the size of a car, in the side of the bow. It's the pirate ship, I said. The Scarlet Skull. Sinead, do you believe it? We found it! Staring straight ahead, Sinead tugged at her hair. We're still dropping, she said. We have to get us out of here. Can you do it? She grabbed my arm. Maybe, I whispered. I stared down at the ship's deck, covered in barnacles. Brown and black coral and slimy green algae encrusted the walls. The ship's wheels lay on its side, cracked and rotting. I pushed the ignition button. The engine sputtered, but didn't start. The dark water bubbled all around us. The sub dropped sharply. Oh no, no! I screamed. My head smacked the glass again as our sub hit the mossy deck of the old ship and bounced up. My hands flew off the controls. A strong current pushed us forward and ran to the main cabin wall. We both screamed in horror. Our sub just split open. We're going to drown down here. But no, the sub was okay. Part of the ship's wall splintered, cracked, and fell away. The sub floated into the ship, to a vast cabin seaweed clinging to the ceiling and walls. Hundreds of silvery fish, thin as needles, fed off the weeds. Silence inside the ship. Our sub tilted and spun slowly, casting a murky light all around. I think we're trapped in here, I whispered. I don't think we can get out. I was totally losing it. I never admitted it, but I always counted on Sinead to be the brave one. But now it was impossible to be brave, both terrified out of our skulls. As I peered out into the ship's cabin, Sinead shoved me aside and grabbed the controls. Get back, Billy, let me try. She pushed the ignition button once, twice. The engine only coughed, stamped down hard on the accelerator, then froze. I saw her blue eyes bulge and turned to follow her stare. We both screamed when we saw it. The face, the grinning face in the water, staring in at us. I gasped in horror at the grinning skull. Chapter 10, by the way. The top of its head was crusted with black crab shells and snails. Fat brown sea worms bulging inside its mouth and empty eye sockets. It pressed against the glass in front of us, a skeleton, a rotting shirt, and torn trousers. A horrible face stared in at us, raised its bony arms, clenched its bony fingers in a two-fist. Bam! Boom! I jumped as it punched the glass with both fists. It's alive! It's alive! It's trying to break in! Sinead said in a trembling whisper. Bam! Bam! Jumped with each punch. From somewhere deep in the sunken ship, heard a low moan like an animal in pain. The ugly moans all around us. Imagery kind of reminds me of the zombie from Creepshow, from both sequences. I don't think I've ever seen Creepshow. As we stared in the open-mouthed panic, a wall of skeletons floated up, pressing their skulls against the glass. Skeletons in tattered clothes, algae growing on their skulls, black crab shells harden over their bones. Frozen in terror, I stared in the dark, empty sockets, their toothless grins, their cracked skulls, the worms and snails and crabs clinging to them. Bam! Bam! They lowered their skulls and smacked the glass with their foreheads. Again, again. Bam! Bam! They hammered the glass with their skulls and their bony hands. I saw the fingers break apart and float away. The grinning skeletons kept pounding, pounding. One of the sequel says there's 2 drowned zombies who kind of match the description here. Ah, I see. I see. I whipped my hand around and saw more of them behind us, clinging to the sub. Let's have a look-see. Ew, grody. I mean, these ones are more skeletal, but yeah, I can see like how things are clinging to them. Sinead grabbed my arm, squeezed it tightly. Billy, we're surrounded. The pirates, they're alive. They're breaking in. Bam, bam, bam. Don't you see? We woke them up, I cried. We woke up the pirates. Billy, they're gonna break the glass, Sinead wailed. Panic swept over me. My heart pounded loudly as the skulls of the glass. I couldn't think straight. Bam, bam. I slapped wildly at the ignition button. It won't go, Sinead, I cried. It won't go! Chapter 11. Bam, bam, bam. The ugly skulls battered the glass. Sinead's eyes were wild. Her face turned bright red. She pounded the control panel with both fists, and the engine rumbled to life. Yes! I cried. I shoved the stick all the way up. Bam, bam, bam. All around us, the skulls beat in a steady rhythm against the portholes. I could see the sub starting to rise. The skulls jerked back. Bony hands scratched against the glass and fell away. Yes! The skeletal pirates disappeared beneath us. Their animal moans followed us, then slowly faded from our ears. The dark green water bubbled as the sub shot up. I held the stick in my trembling hand, pulled it as far as it would go. We got away, Sinead said. Right into the surface. I knew we would. I knew we'd be okay. Despite my fear, I burst out laughing. Sure didn't take long for Sinead to get her old personality back. During the frightening questions whirled through my brain once more. Can we find our way back to the Cassandra? If we do, will we be able to radio for help? Where's Dr. D? Did he really vanish from this tiny sub? How can we find him? Did we really see dead pirates come to life? Will they come after us? How much oxygen do we have left? Sinead and I stared through the porthole as if hypnotized. We watched the swirling waters. It didn't say a word. Finally, 2 hours later, the deep diver bobbed to the surface. I blinked in the bright sunlight. The waves shimmered as we rocked gently atop the water. We made it, I cried, letting out a long breath. Sinead peered out the porthole. But where's the Cassandra? She asked. Felt my muscles tighten. We can find it, I said. We didn't go far. I grabbed the wheel and turned the sub slowly. Made the sub spin in a wide circle. No sign of the sea lab. Has to be here, Sinead muttered. It's our only chance. Ignoring my fear, I moved the sub in a larger circle. But no, nothing but ocean. Endless ocean as far as we could see. I rocked on the water. The only sound now is the wash of the waves against the sub. We both stared at the rolling waves. Didn't say a word. Finally, I turned to my sister. We're all alone, I said softly. Dr. D's gone. No one knows we're out here. Sinead frowned at me. And what's the good news? There was none. Monster Heroes also remind me of those aquatic ghouls that drag people down when they get too close. The kind that pop up in a lot in European folklore. Yep. They are in the Caribbean right now. I will say that. That was established pretty early on. So that'd be, well, it'd be in North America, right? Or is the Caribbean considered South America? It's hard. Islands can be difficult when they're considered continent adjacent. The New World, let's just say that. They're southeast off the coast of Florida. Yeah, so that is their location. Sinead jumped up from her seat, stumbled to the back of the sub. I'm opening up the hatch, she said. She's already halfway with the ladder. We can see better up here. Honestly, not that far off from Miami. Sounds about right. They went out a ways now, but their starting point was an island in the Caribbean. So no idea where exactly they are, but they're roughly in that general vicinity. Are you sure it's a good idea? I call. Too late. Heard the hatch lid pop. The sea sounds grew louder. Janae hoisted herself up to the top. Sub rocked and bobbed. The wind roared. Can you see the Cassandra? I shouted. Didn't answer. I don't think she could hear me. Finally, she lowered herself one rung and bent her head towards me. To my surprise, she had a smile on her face. An island! She cried. Billy, there's an island out there! How close? I shouted. Can we swim to it? We have to, she cried. The ocean's calm. Make it if we take our time. What? Why? Why would you leave? Maybe take the submarine a little closer. For fuck's sake. I'm gonna criticize your choices here. It better be fucking close. No, it can't be. You didn't notice it when you were making your circles. How dumb are you? Yeah. We should have worn our swimsuits, I thought. We were in jeans and t-shirt, but of course we didn't know we'd have to leave the sub. A large fish slid past the porthole. I imagined a school of killer sharks circling us, snapping their jaws hungrily. I pictured the zombie pirates rising up from the ocean's bottom and grabbing us. No, Billy, don't think about sharks or zombies. I heard a splash. I turned and gazed up at the empty hatch. Sinead was already in the water. Courage, I whispered. The official slogan of the undersea mutant. I searched the control panel, found a lever marked anchor. I pulled the lever down, heard a loud buzz, some kind of electric anchor. At least the sub would be here, ready for our return. Pulled myself up to the top of the hatch, shielding my eyes with one hand, squinted to the distance. Yes, long yellow sand island. See the tree near the shore. And you couldn't have parked closer? Come on, be a bit smarter about this. Come on, Billy, jump! Sinead called. I floated on her back alongside the sub. Coming, I shouted. I had to steady myself over the edge of the hatch. My legs trembled so hard I could barely stand. Jump! Sinead yelled. What are you waiting for? Okay, I muttered. Kid's gotta be stupid somehow. Took a deep breath, raised both arms above my head, and leapt. Ow! I screamed as I hit the hatch lid. My lids My legs scraped along the metal edge. Sharp pain shot up my left side. Did a hard belly flop onto the water. Cold rushed over me. My leg throbbed with pain. Splashing wildly, I raised my head, grabbed the aching leg. Sinead! I called. Wave washed over me. Shook it off, pulled myself up. Sinead, help me! I can't swim! I think I broke my leg! Sinead quickly swam over to me. What happened? I banged my leg on the hatch, I moaned, ducking under a high wave. Also, chapter 13. Really hurts. Think maybe. Let me see. Grabbed the leg, twisted it. Hey, stop! Hands on the knee. It's not broken, she said. It's not broken. So when are you an expert on legs? I cried. She didn't answer me. She was already swimming towards the island with slow, steady strokes. No choice. I had to swim after her. I ignored the pain, lowered my head into the water, began doing my famous breaststroke. Courage, I whispered again. Just a reminder to myself. The water was cold. Waves were pulling against us. I'm a good swimmer. Halfway to the island, my arm started to ache. Once again, yeah, could have parked closer. My cut leg throbbed. Sucked in breath after breath. Forced myself through the strong current. Don't know how long it took to reach the island. Maybe half an hour. Yeah, park closer! Stupid motherfucking kids. I'm not gonna let them live this down. Took you half an hour of swimming to get there. Park closer. If you can see it. For fuck's sake. Wouldn't have suspense if they did. It seemed like a lot longer. I fell onto the sandy shore, shivering, gasping for air. My chest felt ready to explode. Lay on my stomach, head resting on the soft sand, breathing, just breathing. Finally looked up. Sinead leaned against the curved trunk of a palm tree, in a thick clump of ferns. The groan, I pulled myself to my feet. My waterlogged jeans and t-shirt hung heavily against my body. Took a step, let out a cry. Ow, my leg! Raised the knee, tested the leg a few times. Moved okay, but it hurt each time I bent it. Leant a few feet towards my sister, groaned with each step. Here, Sinead said. Let's just wash ashore. You can lean on it, use it as a cane. And he probably just bruised the fuck out of it from the sounds of it. She held up a long stick, hobbled up to her, grabbed it. Long piece of bleached driftwood. Perfect size. Don't call it a cane, I told her. It's a mutant's golden staff of invincibilities, handed down to me by the Eternals. She rolled her eyes. Whatever. I tried the driftwood cane out, leaning on it, get around pretty good. Glanced around the island. A narrow strip of yellow sand formed the beach. Beyond the beach, I saw a clump of tall grass and ferns. A thick cluster of palm trees hid the rest of the land from view. Strange, I thought. No seagulls on shore. No birds chirped in the trees. What a weird, dead silence. Come on, let's explore. Sinead's voice cut into my creepy thoughts. Billy, can you walk? No problem, I said, leaning on the cane. Followed her along the shoreline. Our sandals crunched on the soft sand. We passed a wide patch of tall grass, blowing one way, then the other. Oh, wow! Sinead stopped and raised her arm to block me. I don't believe it, she cried. Stared wide-eyed at the sand. Followed her gaze. And gasped. Footprints! They led from the water, across the sand into the trees. Dr. D, I cried. He made it to shore! Not another word. Again, following the footprints, Sinead trotted over the sand. I limped after her as fast as I could, leaning on the driftwood stick. The footprints led across a narrow path that twisted through a thick grove of palm trees. Tall reeds, ropey vines lined both sides of the path. We had to step over fat gray roots that poked up like giant snakes from the sand. I stopped to rest my leg for a moment. "Dr. D!" I shouted, cupping my hands around my mouth. "Uncle George, can you hear me? Are you here?" No answer. My eyes on the footprint, I trotted after Shanae. "Hey!" I let out a sharp cry and stopped beside her. Both stared through an opening between lush fern leaves, stared at the man in a long black cloak with a hood pulled over his head. Was it Dr. D? Had to be. "Dr. D, it's us!" Shanae cried. Why didn't he turn around? Push the fern's leaves out of the way with a stick. Both burst through, running over the sand to our uncle. "Oh!" I gasped and stopped short. Shanae grabbed my arm. Both opened our mouths to scream in horror. Chapter 14. The stick fell from my hand. I grabbed it back and raised it in front of myself. I used it to defend myself. I didn't need it. The hooded figure in front of us wasn't going to attack. I leaned against a tree, unmoving. A skeleton. I let out a groan. "Ugh, sick!" The long cloak was covered in crawling worms and insects. Bugs climbed in and out of the skeleton's toothless mouth. Under the cloak I saw a rotting shirt. The shirt pocket I saw a red skull and crossbones. "A pirate," I whispered. "But it's impossible," Shanae said in a whisper. "Those footprints! Billy, look at them, they're fresh!" Stared down at the sand. Yes, fresh footprints, still deep in the sand. "No, no way," I muttered, watching the fat brown worm slither through the grinning skull. A chill made my whole body shake. I couldn't take my eyes off that ugly face. "Billy, didn't you hear me? Let's go!" Shanae shouted. I shook my head hard, trying to clear my mind, trying to shake away my panic. Shanae grabbed my hand, pulled me along a twisting path, hurried through the trees and vines back to the beach. Struggled to keep up with her, leaning on the stick. The sun was now a red ball low over the water. The late afternoon light turned the ocean red and purple. A pretty sight. No way we could enjoy it. "Stranded on a tiny island, disgusting dead pirate," I muttered. "Dr. D's gone, we have no way to get home." "Could it get any worse than that?" "Yes, it could," Shanae replied in a whisper. "I think it just did." She pointed to the sand in front of us. Okay, not to criticize them, but they could get out of this situation. They have the equipment. They should have maps, right? Didn't they specifically get maps to do this? I know the sub likes to act up, but come on, guys. Just wait, Dr. D's gonna come back, just I had a map. Just shows them from the electronic map when they're on the surface. Come on. You have the technology. Be good for a joke's punchline. Chapter 15. I held my breath, followed her gaze. Oh no. Saw at least a dozen set of fresh footprints in the sand. "They all lead from the water," Shanae said. It softly. "They cross the beach, go into the trees." "They're skeleton footprints," I said. "See? Bone prints." Stared at them, then at each other. "The dead pirates," Shanae cried. "Must be them. The pirates who smashed their heads and fists on the sub." She shuddered. "We woke them up. Billy, don't you see? When we crashed into the ship we woke them. And now they've followed us here." My mind spun. We have to find a hiding place," I said. "Somewhere safe, where we can try to think." Away from the beach, Shanae said. "Away from these footprints." I stared at the bony footprints pressed into the sand. Once again, my imagination took off. I pictured the dead pirates staggering out of the waves, see them shaking waters off their rotten dead clothes, walking swiftly on the sand, their bones creaking and cracking and grinding, searching blindly for Shanae and me. We trotted over the sand. My leg felt better, but I used the long driftwood stick to pull myself along. Shanae, look! I pointed to a tall pile of gray rocks at the far end of the beach. There might be caves, or a good hiding place behind the rocks. Let's check it out, Shanae said. We took 2 or 3 steps. Whoa! Let out a startled cry as the sand gave way beneath me. My arm shot up in the air as I started to slide, sliding down, falling, sliding, falling, sliding. Sand flew all around me. A deep hole, some kind of sand pit. My hands grasped at the side, but the sand flew through my fingers. Sand clung to my wet clothes, covered my hair, my face, my eyes. Sliding, falling, sliding. We're being buried alive! I screamed. Chapter 16. I landed hard on my feet. Ow! Pain shot up my body. My legs gave way and I fell hard on my butt. Brushing sand off my face, out of my eyes, started to choke. Saw Shanae drop into the sand beside me, and coughing, sputtering, shaking herself violently, throwing off sand. Spat out a glob of wet sand. The sour, gritty feeling on my tongue made my stomach heave. I took a deep breath and held it. We're alive, Shanae muttered, fiercely brushing sand from her hair. I picked lumps of sand from my nostrils, spit again, and I gazed up. It was deep. See a sliver of sky at the top. I used the stick to pull myself to my feet. Bending over, I brushed the wet sand off my t-shirt and jeans. Sticky, I said, and smelly. Maybe it's a trap, Shanae said. Pirates set this sand trap, meant to capture us. No way, I said. Pirates just got here, remember? Didn't have time to dig this deep hole. Congratulations, you have arthritis 5 years sooner. Well, somebody made it, Shanae said. She stared up at the top. Maybe we can climb out. Dug both hands in the sand wall and tried to pull herself up. Soft sand gave away. She slid back down. I tried next, digging my hands deep into the sticky wet sand. Hey! Sand crumbled, toppled onto my back. Too soft, Shanae said. Can't get a good grip. Maybe the stick, I said. Shoved the stick into the pit wall high above my head. Hold on to it tightly. Tried to hoist myself up. No. Sand collapsed on me, and tumbling back down onto my knees. Stick fell, nearly hit me on the head. But I didn't give up. Kept trying. Gave Shanae a boost. On my shoulders, her legs wrapped around my neck, nearly choking me. Kicked sand into my face. Get off, I cried. You're too heavy. This won't work. Have to try, she said. You don't want to be trapped down here forever. So, there actually might be a simpler solution. Because sand keeps coming off, they could try breaking down the walls and getting the sand underneath them to sort of hoist their way out and eventually just make like a slope out of there. And it would take a while, but that is a solution. Since this sand seems so soft that it's just falling apart in their hands. The groan I started to push her up the sand wall stopped when I heard the sounds above us, voices from the beach. Oh? The startled cry. Shanae jumped off me. She pressed her back against the sand. I froze, whispered, and listened to the voices. Men's voices. When you have a zombie trying to bite your face, you want to get out ASAP. Yeah, that's fair. I could hear the words they were chanting deep and low. The same words over and over in a frightening, slow rhythm. The bones they crack, the bones they creep, the men come alive in the briny deep. They end our death, you ended our death, you ended our sleep. The men come alive in the briny deep. So come with us, come with the men, come meet your fate with Captain Ben. Shanae covered her ears, peered up the top of the pit. Chanting grew louder. The voices surrounded us, closer, closer, till they were right above our heads. You ended our death, you ended our sleep. The men come alive in the briny deep. You come with us, come with the men, come meet your fate with Captain Ben. Shanae and I pressed ourselves tightly against the pit walls, tried to burrow into the sand. No place to hide. I looked up and saw the grinning heads staring down at us from atop the pit. My legs were trembling. I could feel my heart racing. Counted more than a dozen of them. Most were grinning skeletons wearing plain woolen shirts and trousers or dark jackets and ruffled shirts. Their clothes were stained and shredded. Rotten green cloth barely covered their bones. Even more horrifying, 3 of them had faces. Bloated, distorted faces, swollen from the water, with cheeks sagging to their shoulders and eye sockets stretched, too big to hold their eyes. I'm surprised they have any flesh left, let's be honest. Their bubbling white lips moved like fat maggots. Scraggly clumps of long hair fell over the side of their head. Snails and clamshells clung to their scalps. The pirates poked their heads over the pit and continued the chant. Their voices echoed off the bony rib cages. Ye ended our death, you ended our sleep. The men come alive, the briny deep. What do you want? Shanae screamed up at them. Leave us alone! They reached down for us, reached with long, bony hands, fingers curled and uncurled like snakes. Some of the hands had knobs of skin attached, patches of decayed green skin on the palms and fingers. It smelled so putrid, like milk that had been soured for months. A smell floated down over us. Started to choke, tasted on my tongue. They lowered a rope ladder into the pit. Shanae and I had no choice. We didn't want to spend the rest of our lives down here. I grabbed the rope, struggled to climb. When I neared the top, hard, bony hands wrapped around my shoulders, grabbed me under the arm. Surprising strength hoisted me out of the pit. The pirates set me down hard in the sand, wore a 3-cornered hat covered in slime. Long purple worms crawled out over the brim. Skeleton, except he had half a face. Once again, surprised they have any flesh left, bloated or otherwise. This thing sank in the 1700s or 1800s. Skin hung from the right side of his face and flapped against the cheekbone. He had a dark mustache, just half a mustache, which he kept twirling as he stared at me with one empty eye socket and one blue eye. Let go of me, Janae screamed. Took 2 pirates to drag her off the ladder and set her on the ground. Let us go! Leave us alone! She cried. Moving stiffly, their bones cracked. They formed a circle around us. A tall pirate with sagging bluish skin scratched his scraggly hair. Came off in his hand. Sick, I moaned. Their bones clattered. The pirates moved in closer, tightening the circle. No way we could make a run for it. What do you want? Snake shouted. Let us go. We didn't do anything to you. The pirate with half a face started to grunt. His ugly head bobbed up and down on his rotted shoulders. Arms hanging limply at their side, the circle of dead pirates began moving around us, slowly at first, then faster, stepping stiffly, their eyes locked on us. Groaned in horror as one of the pirates lost a bony foot, fell off his leg, but he didn't stop. He limped on, keeping the circle moving, spinning around us, the circle of ghastly dead men. Then suddenly the circle opened. The pirate, with half a face, stepped aside. The other pirates backed away. I stared in shock as 2 men approached. A grinning pirate led the way. He wore a long black coat, golden buttons down the front, gold stripe of captain on the shoulder. He had a whole face, a thin black mustache, and a short black beard. He looked alive, except for the dead green eyes sunk deep in his head. Carried a crutch in one hand and limped towards us. He approached. The pirates stood back in fear. Was this Captain Ben? Beside him, with the pirate's big hand grasping his shoulder, our uncle.
Billy, Stine! Dr. D cried. They got you too?
Dr. D! I shouted, up chapter 18 by the way. Started to run to him, but two pirates leapt forward, held me back. Their bony fingers dug into my shoulder. It smelled like weak old vomit. Again, I had to hold my breath to keep from gagging. Let me go! Sinead cried, thrashing her arms, kicked. The two pirates held her tightly. Stared angrily at the pirate captain. The dead eyes gazed back at me. Looked like soft eggs set deep in the sockets, and a missing leg. Leaned heavily on his crutch. He dug the crutch into the sand, and stepped forward. Let go! Sinead slammed her elbow into the pirate's open ribcage. Bones cracked loudly, but it didn't let go. Then he tightened a bony hand around her throat. Don't struggle!
Oh, don't struggle, Dr. D said. They're too strong.
He smells so pukey, Sinead cried, covered her mouth with her hand. Look, I'm gonna sneeze. Captain Ben tossed back his head, uttered a booming laugh. His voice sounded as if it came from a deep tunnel. The laugh made all the pirates jerk straight up at attention. I watched one of the pirates pull a fat worm from his own nose-hole, studied it, then shoved it back in. Uncle George, I cried. How did you get here? He shrugged. I don't
really know, Billy.
His white lab coat was covered in stains. His pants were torn at one knee. The left lens in his eyeglasses were cracked. How long have you been here? I asked. He shook his head.
Not clear to me, he said. It's all blank. Sorry.
But what do the pirates want? I asked. Pirate captain shoved Dr. D aside and limped up to Sinead and me. Captain Ben asks the questions, he said in a low voice that thundered in his chest. Captain Ben asks the questions and he answers the questions. At these words, some of the skeletal pirates trembled and shook. Bones clattered, clacked, and rattled. An eyeball hit the sand. Its owner moved to pick it up and accidentally stepped on it. Captain Ben turned from Sinead to me. An ugly grin spread over his face. Imagine being flashbanged MIB style by zombie pirates. Damn. That do be scary. So, he's your uncle, is he? Would you like to see your uncle survive? He asked. Would you like Captain Ben to let your uncle live? So I was right. Staring at Captain Ben One Leg, the legendary pirate, the evil pirate who'd been dead for 200 years. Yes, I stammered. Of course we want Dr. D to live. I bet, Captain Ben said. He grabbed Dr. B by the shoulder and slammed into the trunk of a palm tree. Dr. D groaned, fell to his knees, grabbing his shoulder. Captain Ben laughed. I like to watch a man bounce, don't you? No, Sinead screamed. Stop it, let us go. Captain Ben's grin faded, scratched his black beard. Careful, girl. Being dead for over 200 years has put Captain Ben in a very bad mood. I don't care, Sinead shouted. Let us go. I'll not let any of ye go, he said, holding his wet eye. I'd stare on Sinead. And yawn. I'd have your uncle back until ye give me what is mine. I swallowed, thinking hard, my mind spinning. What did he mean? I whispered to Sinead. What does he want? What does he think we have? Lost treasure? Are you looking for your treasure? Are you looking for your treasure? We don't have it, Sinead shouted as the pirate captain. We never saw it. We don't have your treasure. Scowls spread over Captain Ben's face. Y'all not have your uncle back.
he repeated, until you give me what is mine. You have to believe us, cried the pirate captain. We don't have it. I raised my stick as if it were a sword. All around us, the pirates' tents, they lifted their bony arm. I could tell they were preparing to fight. Captain Ben stared at the stick. You made your choice, said through gritted teeth. The wrong choice. He waved his arms in a signal to his men. Take them, he shouted. Show them what we call pirate mercy. A rattle of bones, the dead pirates closed in on us. Run, kids! Dr. D shouted. Don't worry about me! I spun away from him. The pirate with half a face stretched out his arms and tried to grab me. I ducked and darted right through his legs. Another pirate bumped up to me. His ruffled shirt tore to shreds, feeling nothing but ribs underneath. He raised his hands ready to fight. I swung the driftwood stick to him. I caught him in the chest. Heard his brutal ribs crack. Let out a muffled gurgle and staggered back. Took off running, my sandals pounding the sand. And I turned away from the water, headed to the tree. Shanae, she get away too. Didn't dare look back until I reached the thicket of palm trees. Ducked into the shade and grabbed a tree trunk. Held on. Brushed against the smooth bark, trying to catch my breath. By the way, this is chapter 19. Billy, don't stop, a hoarse voice said. Shanae, hiding in the tree. Look, they're coming after us. Pointing towards the trees. The pirates were staggering, limping, lurching towards us. I pushed myself off the trunk and leaned on the driftwood stick. We both took off, dodging through the thick groves, pushing ferns and vines out of our path. Could hear the grunts and groans of the pirates as they chased after us. You really think they have Captain Ben's treasure? Think we hid it somewhere on the island? Shanae, wait up, I called. I started to run, using the stick as a cane. Each step made my leg throb. But the undersea mutant doesn't know the meaning of the word pain, I declared. The undersea mutant run from a bunch of ugly dead pirates. Of course he would. Beneath the twisted between palm trees, the ground became soft and covered with a blanket of mossy leaves and needles. The air grew cooler as I ran into deep shadows. Breathing hard, I caught up with my sister, ducking our heads under low vines. We ran deeper and deeper into the trees. Whoa, stop! What is it? She asked breathlessly, pointing to the ground. That's not a vine, that's a snake. Squinted at it. Stretched out across the path was the snake was huge, at least 4 or 5 feet long, camouflaged the same green-brown as the leaves of the ground. Stared, arched its body, raised its head. Without a warning, attacked, snapping its fangs. Shoved the snake in front of it. The snake's jaws clamped down on the driftwood. I didn't think. My fright just made me act. Swung the stick high with the snake clamped onto it. The snake flew and whipped into the air. I didn't see it come down. I heard the smack palm tree leaves behind me. Shanae spun around, as if expecting the snake to come slithering back to us. Wow, she muttered. Billy, that was awesome. They call me the Snake Whisperer, I said. She didn't laugh. Shh, listen. I heard the grumbling of the pirates still following. They hadn't given up. They're close by, Shanae whispered. Maybe we can find the tall rocks, I said. They look like a good hiding place. You look like a snake, John Trun. I don't remember that one. No, Shanae let out a cry as 2 men jumped out from the trees that blocked our path. You're not going anywhere, one of them said. The men stepped to us. Not going anywhere? Why not? I stammered. Because this is the end of the path, one of the men said. A gold tooth gleamed in his mouth. You can't go any further. I stared at them. They were both probably in their 20s. Speaking of, this is chapter 20 now. They both had short, light brown hair and dark eyes. Their faces were tan. The one with the gold tooth and tall, lanky, about a foot taller than the other. They wore khaki cargo pants, striped polo shirts. They had brown leather cameras, and cases strapped around their necks. You don't look like pirates, I said. They squinted at us. Pirates? We're photographers, the shorter one said. Pulled out a fat orange bug off my shoulder. I jumped back.
Alright, desktop audio. Now let's see. That's pretty funny.
Careful, I whispered. This could be a trap. They overheard me.
What kind of trap?
Tall one asked. Pirates! They're chasing us, Shanae said, glancing back along the path. Tall one smiled, gold tooth glowing.
This some kind of kid's game?
No, I said, it's real.
Real pirates? You're joking. Tell us the truth, he said.
How do we know we can trust you? Shanae demanded. Who are you? What are you doing here at the end of the path?
Calm down, the tall one said. Told you, we're photographers, shooting little-known Caribbean islands. My name's Roger Baldry, the partner said. This is Goldie Monroe. That's not his real name, but everyone calls him Goldie, because the tooth.
Goldie grinned to show it off. The other side of the trees, I heard low voices. I grabbed Shanae. Can't stay here. They're coming.
I don't know who's chasing you, but you can follow me, Goldie said. He turned and started to push his way through the tall ferns. Roger pushed a blue baseball cap from one of his pockets. He placed it on his head, followed his friend. Shanae and I held back. Could we trust these men? Did we have a choice? I followed them into the trees. The sun was setting. The ground grew swampy. I kept staring to the sand and looked out for more snakes. Sweat poured down my forehead. My clothes were drenched. I stepped out onto the beach, took a deep breath of the cool ocean air, wiped my face with the sleeve of my t-shirt. Roger and Goldie led us to a wall of gray rocks near the shore. Behind the rocks, I saw a small white motor boat bobbing in the water. Shanae and I leaned against the rocks, catching our breath. Peered around the side. No sign of the pirates. What are you two kids doing here? Roger asked, mopping his fat face with a red handkerchief. Who brought you to this island?
Our uncle, I said. He didn't bring us. He disappeared. We thought maybe.
Goldie squinted at us. Your uncle disappeared? Were you on a boat?
A mini-sub, I said. But it stalled out. Pirates woke up, came after us. They followed us here.
Goldie put his hands on his shoulders. Take a breath, kid. Get some oxygen in your brain. Not making any sense.
Yes, he is, Shanae declared. Our uncle disappeared from our sub. Billy and I had to swim here. We woke up Captain Ben's dead pirates. They followed us here and...
Roger's eyebrows went up. Mouth opened up. Captain Ben? You mean Long Ben in one leg?
Yes, of course, Shanae snapped. His men captured us down at the beach. She pointed. Captain Ben was there with our uncle. Said he couldn't have Dr. D back until we gave him what belonged to us. He wants his treasure.
Roger and Goldie studied us in silence. You're not making this up? Roger asked. I shook my head.
No way.
Then, Goldie muttered, rubbing his chin, then the legend's true!
Yes, Shanae said impatiently. That's what we're trying to tell you. Do you have it? Goldie asked. Do you have his treasure? No, I said. We found Captain Ben's ship. Found the Scarlet Skull, but didn't see any treasure. Two men looked excited. Roger's face reddened. Goldie studied us intently. Pirate ship, where is it? He asked.
Sunk offshore, I said. Tilted almost on the side of the bottom of the ocean.
Goldie squinted up at me. Do you really find that old wreck? People have been looking for it for over 200 years. Roger gripped my shoulders. Do you think you can find it again?
I'm getting very sus vibes from these guys.
They were both breathing hard. See their chests heaving up and down. Roger's face was bright red. Maybe surprised. Maybe Shanae and I had told them too much. Are you after the treasure? I asked. Before they could answer, I heard a clatter above us on the rocks. Looked up in time to see two skeleton pirates come leaping down. Their long, tattered coats flew up behind them as they sailed down at us. They raised rusted swords. I grabbed Shanae and yanked her back. We fell to our butts on the sand. The two dead pirates landed on their feet in front of Roger and Goldie. They swung their jagged swords at the two men and sliced off their heads. Chapter 21. No, I blinked hard. Terror can make you see crazy things. Roger and Goldie still had their heads. The two pirates swung their rusted swords again. Again, Roger and Goldie ducked. The blades whistled inches over their heads. Two men dove at the pirates, grabbed them around their waist, raised them high in the air, and heaved them into the rocks. The pirates didn't utter a sound as their bodies fell apart. I watched their skulls fly away, the ribs separate, leg bones roll off. Roger and Goldie bumped knuckles. Roger picked up his baseball cap from the ground and lifted Shanae and me to our feet. We better hurry, Goldie said, gazing down at the two pile of bones. Bet more of these guys are on their way. They turned and started to their boat. Wait, I said, trotting after him. You didn't answer my question. Are you after Captain Ben's treasure? They shook their heads. We don't want the treasure, Goldie said. These waters belong to the government. It means the treasure does too, Roger said. No way we'd want that trouble. The RPGs taught me nothing. It's a good hammer. It's a cure to undead skeleton problems. Yeah, because it's like blunt force. Sort of knock them apart since they don't have all those ligaments holding them together no more. Let the treasure stay at the bottom of the sea, Goldie said. Roger and I take the pictures of the sunken ship, sell them for a fortune. Goldie and I would be the most famous photographers in the world, Roger said, pointing to the motorboat, which was rocking gently in the waves. I have our diving equipment on board. Think you two can find the old sunken ship again? Maybe, I said. It's rotting under our mini-sub. Shanae frowned. That doesn't help us with our problem. How do we rescue Uncle George from the pirates? Let's make a deal, Goldie said. You guide us to the Scarlet Skull. All the treasure chest up on our boat. Bring it back for you to give to Captain Ben. Then we'll take three of you. Then we'll take three of you wherever you want to go, Roger said. Deal? I don't trust this. They both stared at us, waiting for our answer. What are you waiting for? I said. Let's go. Goldie and Roger splashed into the water. Like, come on, those names? Those names? If the fact they were on this fucking island in the middle of nowhere and they got like that gung-ho about the treasure and they have those names, there is something sus. I just think they're treasure hunters. Hell, they could be working with the pirates. Who fucking knows? Insert Among Us theme here. They could be magic pirates to look fresher. Goldie and Roger splashed into the water, holding their camera case high. Shanae and I followed. We waded to the boat. The warm water lapped over our waist. Howls rang out from the beach. Turned and looked away. Pirates are coming after us, clambering into the water, shrieking like wild animals, swinging swords above their heads. Goldie and Roger reached the boat. They grabbed the deck railing and hoisted themselves inside. Shanae climbed in easily, tossed my walking stick onto the deck. The motor started to roar, reached for the deck rail, and missed. Tumbled face first into the water. Pirates' howls grew louder, closer. I floundered in fear, slapping at the water, struggling to stay at the surface. The motor churned up the water, sending a spray high in the air. The spray washed over the charging pirates. Sputtering, I reached for the deck rail again, caught it, lifted myself, soaking wet onto the deck. Bony hand shot up from the water, grabbed the deck rail. The pirates were climbing aboard. The motor roared. The boat shot forward, lifted off the water, zoomed away from the shore. Struggled to keep my balance, turned to the deck rail and shuddered, the burly hand still gripping to the rail. Sinead, look! Pointed to the hands. 8 or 9 pairs. We didn't lose them. They're coming in with us. The boat lurched and tilted to the side. I went and stumbled into the rail. Couldn't stop myself. Grabbed for the rail, my fingers wrapped around the cold, clammy hand of a skeleton pirate. Unable to let go, I opened my mouth to cry of horror. Chapter 22. Gripping the rail, I stared at the hands. Just hands. No arms attached to bodies. Son of a bitch took our hands! I get back to the captain. Where'd your hands go? Just gestures with the arm boat out to the middle of the ocean. I went that way, Captain. Mr. Hands about to choke a bitch. Bony fingers clung to the rail, taking a sea ride with us. The arms and bodies detached now, floating and bobbing in our wake. Oh, like they just got fucking spread across the ocean. Sinead pulled me away from the side. Billy, sit down, she said. You're drenched. You're shaking. Total wrecked. You look totally wrecked. Sit down and hugged myself. I'm okay, I said. Weakly. Just those hands. I shivered. Cheer up, Sinead said. Roger and Goldie are going to help us. Get the treasure to Captain Ben. We'll set Dr. T free. And they'll take us to the Cassandra. Forced a smile to my face. Sounds like a plan, I told Sinead, and I gasped. One of the skeleton hands had gripped my ankle. Sinead pulled it off and tossed it into the water. The boat rocked and tossed as it pushed through the waves. The evening sun set stripes of deep red through the water. It would soon be dark. Goldie carried a couple of long duffel bags from the cabin. The Scarlet Skull can't be far from here, Sinead said. Billy and I swam to the shore from the sub. Goldie heaved the 2 long bags to the stern. One's our diving gear, he said. The other's our cameras. Find the ship first, then come back for our photo equipment. He walked to the rail, picked the skeleton hands off one by one, and tossed them into the sea. I climbed to my feet, watched Roger in the cabin. He stood behind the wheel, his cap pulled low over his eyes. There it is! Sinead shouted. It made me jump. Yes, our tiny sub bounced in the dark waves just ahead of us. Yellow hatch gleamed in the dying light. Time to dive, Goldie told Roger. Anchor the boat. Roger came bolting out of the cabin. Right down there? Yes, pointing. Captain One-Leg's old ship? Yes, it should be close, I said. 2 men pumped their fists in the air. Lowered the anchor over the stern. Pulled out scuba tanks and tugging on the wet suits and fins. Goldie turned to Sinead and me, flashed us a thumbs up. It's a great day, he said. Roger and I are going to photograph that shipwreck, find the treasure so we can rescue your uncle. We both returned the thumbs up. They flashed the Holocan and beams on their mask. The 2 men dove over the side, disappeared quickly into the black, rolling waters. Sinead and I leaned over the rail, watched until the darkness swallowed them. Sinead shrugged. Nothing to do now but wait, she said. You can wait. The undersea mutant must always be on alert, I told her. Turned and made my way into the cabin. I'll man the wheel till they get back, I decided. Stepped behind the wheel. High wave made the boat rock. Fell back, kicked one of the duffel bags. Flipped onto its side and fell open. Huh? I stared in shock. 2 small silver pistols tumbled out. No camera. Weird, I muttered, grabbing the other duffel bag. Fumbled it open. 3 pistols and a box of bullets. I had a heavy feeling in my stomach. My throat suddenly felt dry. I ran down onto the deck, hurried to the stern, lifting one of the big duffel bags. What's up? Sinead called, hurrying over to me. Goldie said one of the camera equipment isn't here. Tugged the bag open, dumped the contents onto the deck. Rifles. 6 or 7 long-barreled rifles clattered at my feet. I let out a shuddering sigh. Shanae, I whispered. Those two men, they lied to us. They're not photographers. What do they need this many guns for? Jesus. There's two of them. Pistols, I kind of get. The rifles? How many rifles do you need? I didn't say, like, there are various types of rifles, even. What are you guys doing out here with this many firearms? Nobody comes here. But it's America, technically. There are enough heats. But, like, on a practicality sense. Chapter 23. My legs felt weak. I grabbed the rail, took a deep breath, held it in. Shanae pressed her hands to her cheeks. Now I want to see zombie pirates versus Texans. See, that's actually possible? Historically, I think? Yeah, because like that whole D&D party joke where all these like different things were happening at the same time, roughly. I granted the zombie part probably wouldn't be a factor historically, but if like pirates versus is cowboys is historically a possibility. I think, if I remember things correctly. You know, I'm gonna double check that. Piracy, 1650 to 1680. That was the Buccaneer period. Technically it ended in 1730. Oh, okay, so Golden Age would be done. What ended major piracy though? Okay, so yeah, it was like the 1730s. Okay. During expansion. Okay, yeah, never mind. Pirates could not exist in the same time. Kind of debatable, even so, pirates would end up at a disadvantage since they have flip-flop weapons. Yeah, I was thinking that, and then I'm like, at first I was thinking, I think this was the meme, then I realized, no, wait, the technology of the firearms is too different. That's what I was looking at. It's like, that's what made me doubt the validity of what I just said. I know, like, the Age of Samurais happened around the same time. The Victorian Industrial Revolution was happening around the same time. Well, I say samurai, but it's like disgraced samurai at that point because the samurai caste system was falling at that point. Yeah, because the age of pirates ended after the 17th century. Pirates or cowboys became prominent around 19th, early 20th century. I just traced it to the Western expansion, which was around 1820s is where that really started to happen. So the 19th century, yeah.
That's whenever that really started to kick off. What was the fourth member of that then? Because I know like Disgraced Samurai, Victorian Gentleman, and Cowboy. There was one other weird thing that fits there, but I can't remember what it was. So mainly glean from that from the top of my head because my grandpa loved watching westerns. Yeah. Regardless, though, actually, I don't know if it would actually be a disadvantage. Yes, it is flintlocks versus a bit more advanced weaponry, but you also have to consider where the fight is taking place because pirates can easily be handled depending on circumstances, and sometimes they're dominating depending on circumstances. I think a good like example is using their any conflict with the East India Trading Company, because you got to calculate that a lot of their things were ship warfare. But if you take them out of the water and away from their ship, they're going to lose a lot of firepower. Uh, as comically as it might have been portrayed, that invasion that the crew of the Black Pearl did on the first Pirates of the Caribbean movie, yeah, roughly if they had like that kind of setup where their ship is off the coast where they can fire in, that's one thing. But if you take them out of that environment and just have them toe to toe, yeah, they're too technologically outdated. It's a major factor of both inaccurate and hell and unreliable. They're also likely to miss fires. And you got an ad. Okay. I shall wait. And back. Okay, so what I was saying is it's very situational because you got to consider in this fight if you want to give the pirates access to their ship and by extension access to their cannons. That is the determining factor of how this fight would really swing. Is location is a big deal for this kind of fight. If you just have them on land, mano a mano, yeah, pirates are outgunned technologically. During the Western expansion, the revolver became the big thing. You pull out quick, shoot quick, kill quick. It was fucking art at that point. Flintlocks, unreliable, inaccurate. They could kill somebody, kill someone fast. The load speed was slow, and once again, they were unreliable. They can misfire. Wet powder could be a detriment to you. And of course, there's the difference in like gunpowder quality of smokeless powder that started to be introduced later on. Yeah, I do think it is a very big factor of if you want to consider this to be a land battle or a sea battle or a semi-land sea battle. Because if there's any amount of sea in there, there's the potential that it could, I say potential, that it could swing into the pirates' favor due to cannons. Could be the case. There's also taking into account Cowboys' aim, Civil War's resistance for the West in terms of weapon development, or Renaissance. What I say? Also, the scenario of the pirates being on a ship while the Cowboys are on shore. Yeah, there's a few factors that could
swing this fight in either direction. If you're talking artillery, you're no longer dealing with cowboys, though, because you're not dealing with ranchers and whatnot. At that point, you're dealing with the army. That's a different classification of warrior. Because if we're including just the army, then yeah, pirates are getting outclassed because they also had boats. Better boats at that point. Maybe not much better, but they were getting better. Also, fun fact: early forms of the Gatling gun were actually made around the end of the first Civil War. Or I say first, as if we're gonna have another. That's ominous. Still kind of in the Cowboys. Give it to the Cowboys on shore. Call it a bias. A lot of them had to kill time shooting things. Well, you gotta calculate distance on that one. It is very much a battle that can swing either way. Technologically, I do think it is majorly in the Cowboys' advantage, even with cannons. Granted, cannons might also swing it the other way. Well, it's just very, very depending. There's a lot of technology and strategy that can like come into these like cross time fights. It's just really interesting to think about. I think an interesting note. If you've ever watched Epic Rap Battle of History, just to show the difference in technology and strategies between certain groups of people, Julius Caesar versus Shaka Zulu. As much as Shaka Zulu came after Julius Caesar later on his technology and strategies were still inferior to the Romans in way back then. Depends on a few factors, especially distance. Cannons are notoriously hard to aim. With force from explosions, different from aiming a rifle on land, picking off people on the ship, that might be a factor. Yeah, and there's of course the various types of shot that a cannon can shoot as well. What kind of cover does each side get? What is the distance of the ship from shore? Is there going to be a boarding fight? If there's a boarding fight, they might get fucking. I might be biased because the Deadliest Warrior did the night dirty. I think, like in hindsight, for Deadliest Warrior, they had a lot of miscalculations. It is still like an interesting watch. But it left out a lot, and I get it. They're trying to make it digestible, and we learn more and more about history, fully for the cheesy fights. I did remember seeing a show similar to Deadliest Warrior that used animal recreations, and they'd simulate them, animate them, and whatnot after running numbers and whatnot. I remember seeing one where gorilla just beat the shit out of a cheetah. It was awesome. And another one where a bear or fought a alligator. That was cool too. I can't remember it either. Holy shit, we got way off topic. Yeah, we did. But you know what? That's okay every once in a while. Alright, back to chapter 23. My legs suddenly grew weak. I grabbed the rail. Took a deep breath and held it. Sinead pressed her hands to her cheeks, stared at the rifles on the deck. Billy, what are we going to do? I had an idea. The radio! We can call for help. Or, you can, toss the guns overboard? You're in the middle of the ocean. Come on. Maybe keep some pistols for yourself? And toss the rest overboard. There you go. There's the answer. Granted, I don't think R.L. Stine would go that direction. Not only is this supposed to be a horror book for kids, I also don't want to promote kids getting their hands on firearms. Two historic nerds discussing improbable scenarios does that. Yeah, it really do. I remember we prattled on a little bit on one of your streams too. Whenever I was telling you some Japanese history. I raced to the cabin. The radio stood on a shelf behind the wheel. Threw a switch. A few seconds later, a low static poured from the speaker, lifting the microphone to my mouth. You hear me? I shouted. Hello? Can anyone hear this? Turned a few dials. Hello? Anyone hear me? Just static. Come on, work! Please work! Cried, turned the dials and switches. Billy, they're coming up! Sinead shouted from the deck. My breath caught in my throat. Who were the two liars? What did they really want? I ran across the deck, stepped beside Sinead at the rail. Roger and Goldie bobbed to the surface, water dripping from their masks, leaned over the side, squinted into the darkness. Between them, they had a big black chest, a sparkling red jewel in the lid. Even against the night sky, the jewel glowed brightly. Legendary pyrotechnique of jamming signals. Could see clearly a glowing scarlet skull. They raised it chest high, hoisted it onto the deck, lifted themselves into the boat, shook water off their wetsuits. We found the treasure, and we're keeping it, Roger added. It's ours! Started to pull off his mask, froze when he saw the rifles stowed upon the deck. Uh-oh, he muttered. I see you two have been snooping in places you don't belong. You lied to us! Goldie shrugged. It's a tough world, kid. Pulled his diving mask. Up his diving mask. Sinead and I both let out cries. His face came off with the mask. He was staring at a grinning skull. A skull with a golden tooth hanging from its mouth. Oh, well, I called this. Roger pulled off his mask, tossed it onto the deck. His face didn't come off, but the skin came loose around his mouth, tried to push it back into place. Emitting strong Darksteel the Hedgehog energy here. I don't know what that reference is. Who are you? I stammered. We're from the ship that watched the Scarlet Skull disappear into the black cloud, Goldie said. Disappeared with our treasure! Captain Ben stole it from us, Roger said. We dove into the water to get it back. We never made it to the Scarlet Skull. That black cloud carried us away. We've been lost till now, Roger said. We're rich, Goldie said. After 200 years of searching for it, it's ours again. He tossed back his skull and uttered a dry laugh. These outfits came in handy, Roger said. Goldie and I were so cold in our bare bones all these years. We stole the clothes from a couple of fishermen and took their boat, too. A smile spread across his face. Then we took their skin. Alright, what's this? Image not found. That's what that is. Oh, yeah, because it got broken. Look, commas are going to break the hyperlink. Nothing personal, kid. Okay. It's in Discord. It's one of the oldest memes on the internet. I see. Nothing personal, kid. Stomach lurched, and I forced out my lunch. Shanae's mouth hung open. She tugged at her long hair. "Are gonna keep the treasure?" she asked in a tiny voice. "Yes, and thanks to you from the bottom of our hearts," Goldie said. He gives the two-fingered salute. "We owe you gratitude," Roger said. "And now, sadly, we'll say goodbye to you both." "Goodbye," I cried. "What do you mean? What do you think they mean?" Just love how personal is misspelled. They didn't answer. Goldie just shrugged. Roger moved quietly. He lifted Shanae off the deck and tossed her overboard. Chapter 24. I heard the splash as she hit the water. The sound sent chill down my neck. "You can't do that!" I raised the driftwood stick and swung at Roger with all my strength. Roger ducked. The stick grazed his back, pulled off a big chunk of skin. The grunt he grasped me around the wrist. I put up a pretty good struggle, but he was too strong. Shoved me against the rail, then flipped me into the ocean. Hit the water hard on my stomach, and went under. Cold sent a paralyzing shock over my body. Finally I raised my arms, forced myself to the surface, coughing and sputtering. Searched for my sister, spotted her a few yards behind me, struggling to stay on top of the water. "Help us!" she screamed to the two pirates. "Can't let us drown! Help us!" Turned their backs. "Help us!" Shanae screamed. "Don't leave us!" Frantically tried to keep afloat. I watched the two men, leaning over the treasure chest, see the scarlet skull glowing up against the night sky. Roger reached down to open the chest. He's about to grab the scarlet jewel. Also, hold up on my end. Gotta do something. Okay. The red skull glowed so brightly I could see everything as clear as day. I saw Roger grab the skull. I heard Goldie scream, "No!" I saw Goldie try to tug Roger away. Too late. The red skull snapped open its jaws and bit Roger's hand. As the jaws clamped down, a fireball of white light burst over the boat, so bright the sea lit up all around us. A powerful red current, like lead lightning, blazed over the men. For a second their bodies lit up. See the bones under their skin. Trapped inside the crackling current, Roger and Goldie did a terrifying dance. Their arms flew wildly over their heads. Their whole bodies shook and shimmered. And then their heads flew off, their bodies high into the fiery sky. Both men crumpled to the deck, twin piles of bone and ash. The buzzing, crackling red current faded to black. Janae and I were alone in the sea now, thrashing our arms and legs, shivering in the cold. "Come on," I choked out. Swam to the boat, grabbed for the deck rail and pulled myself on board. Shivering, I saw the driftwood stick on the cabin floor. Grabbed it in both hands, held it to Shanae. Grabbed on, and I pulled her to the deck. We both sprawled on our backs, our chests heaving. Shut my eyes, waited for my breathing to return to normal. Sat up, blinking away water. Down the deck, the wind was blowing hard, carrying away the two pirate ashes. My legs were shaky and sore. I managed to stand up. "Shanae, our luck is changing," I said, before she could answer. A hard bump jolted into the boat. Bang! Something hit us. Bang! Again. I lost my balance and staggered and fell. Ow! I had slammed to the deck. Another boom, even harder this time. Everything went black. Chapter 25. "Billy, I don't believe it!" Shanae cried. Her shout cleared my head. Shaking off the pain dizzily, climbed to my feet. "Look!" Pointed out to the water. Slowly turned and saw another boat bumping against us. I recognized it instantly. The Cassandra. It must have been loose from its anchor. Come loose from its anchor, I said. Bumped right up to us. The Cassandra pulled alongside as if it had come to meet us. Both cheered. Stine, help me carry the treasure chest onto the Cassandra. We'll return to Captain Ben on the island and he'll let Dr. D go. We each grabbed a handle and carefully sliding the chest across the deck. Be careful, don't touch the Scarlet Skull. Or be careful, don't touch the Scarlet Skull, Stine warned me. Saw what happens when the skull bites. I shuddered. I pictured the two pirates doing their horrifying death dance inside the red streaks of electricity. Hoisted myself onto the Cassandra. Pulled and Stine pushed. We shoved the chest onto the deck of the boat. Stine hopped to the Cassandra, cheered and touched knuckles. Looked good to be home. We had the treasure with us. Now we just had to use it to rescue our uncle. Stepped into the cabin. The throw switches powering up the controls. Pushed the ignition. Engine started up instantly. I grabbed the wheel. Of course I knew how to pilot the Cassandra. The Undersea Mutant can handle any boat on any sea. Besides, I didn't have to take it far. The island stood only a few minutes away. I eased the throttle forward. The boat began to move, cutting through the waves. I could see the island on the navigation screen. Piece of cake. Or was it? Suddenly the boat began to rock. The winds howled around the cabin walls. Tall waves tossed up in front of us, then pushed us back. Stine burst into the cabin. Billy, what's happening? She cried. Kept my hands on the wheel. The boat tilted up hard and crashed down into the heaving waves. Why is the sea going crazy? Stine cried. I didn't have an answer. We both saw at the same time. An enormous ship rising up from under the waters. Its sail billowed and stretched against the wind. Its prow rose and fell and it bounced in the wave. The ship came sailing straight at us. Stine's eyes bulged. Billy, it can't be. Recognize it? The ship, it's the Scarlet Skull. It's gonna crash right into us, I screamed, with the wheel to the right as far as I could. Too late. The Scarlet Skull rose up like a skyscraper in front of us. Standing at the bow, I saw Captain Ben, his long black overcoat flapping behind him in the wind. Oh, wow, I don't believe it, I cried. The pirate captain had his arms wrapped around Dr. D. Dr. D, are you okay? I shouted. Don't ask questions, Captain Benz boomed down at us. Do you want your uncle returned? I'll give you scurvy dogs one more chance. Give me what is mine. Okay, I cried. Shoved the treasure chest to the edge of the deck. Here, take the treasure. We don't want it. Above us, Captain Ben shook his head. Give me what is mine, he screamed. Take the treasure. Take it, I shouted. Captain Ben shook his head again, raised his fist in the air. I don't want the treasure. I want my leg. Leg? He pointed fiercely to the stick in my hand. Huh? I wasn't leaning on some long piece of driftwood all this time. I'd been carrying Captain Ben's leg. It was his leg he wanted returned. I raised the leg bone high, pushed my arm back to toss it up to him. Shay held me back. Captain Ben, she shouted. If we give you the leg, how do you know you'll return our uncle? Captain Ben tossed back his head and laughed. Return your uncle. Don't you know what a notorious liar I am? I'll take my leg and my treasure, and then all three of you will be joining me at the bottom of the sea. Not a chance, I thought. He'll never take us down with him. No pirate can outsmart the undersea mutant. Suddenly, I knew what I had to do. The long leg bone trembled in my hand. Wrapped my fingers around it tightly. Remembered Dr. D's spear fishing lesson. Shut my eyes, repeated in my mind what I'd learned. Balance. Aim. Power. Took a deep breath. Pulled the bone back like a fishing spear. Eyeing carefully, I heaved it up to the deck of the pirate ship. Yay! Captain Ben let out a furious howl as the bone smashed into his chest and pierced right through him. It struck inside him, the sharp end of the bone poking out of his back. Captain Ben howled in agony, grabbed the front of the bone with his both hands, tried to pull it out of his chest. Yeah! Another scream echoed off the water. He tugged so hard at the bone, he pulled himself overboard. Shay and I hugged each other, watched him splash into the water. He slapped at the surface for a few seconds, then sank out of sight. He didn't come up. Suddenly a tall wave rocked our boat. Sea began to toss and swirl all around us. "Billy, look!" Sinead cried. "The Scarlet Skull! It's cracking apart!" Yes, the old ship began to crack and crumble. The sails fell apart, pieces flying away like a million feathers. The mast split and fell. The ship's walls crumbled to sawdust and dropped into the sea. Within moments, not a trace of the ship remained. "Dr. D!" I shouted. "Dr. D, where are you?" Sinead grasped. He went down with the ship. He's gone." Chapter 27. I gripped the rail, staring out at the tossing waters. "Dr. D! Dr. D!" Shouted his name again and again. No sign of him. Sinead covered her face, her shoulders trembling up and down. Then I saw a hand reach up to the deck, grab the side of the boat. Another hand appeared, leaned down, helped Dr. D onto the boat. Climbed to his feet, quickly shivering, shaking off the water. "You're safe," Sinead called. We both rushed to hug him. "You're safe! You're safe!"
"No time," he muttered. "We're not safe."
Turned and watched the shredded sails sinking to the tossing waters.
"Let's get the treasure chest down below. We gotta get out of here."
We pushed the chest to the lower cabin. Then Sinead and I jammed in beside Dr. D and started the Cassandra. Walls of water rose all around us. Our boat tilted up high and slid back to the surface.
We have to find that black cloud,"
Dr. D said, gripping the wheel with both hands. Pushed the throttle forward as far as it would go. "Black cloud!" I cried. "You want to find it again?"
"When we went through it, we entered a dead zone," Dr. D explained. "That's what the old legend says. Starting to believe them. We have to go through it again and get to the other side. This isn't our world. We're in the world of the dead."
My mouth dropped open. A shiver shook my whole body. Dr. D is a scientist. I knew he never believed in this stuff, but we had seen it with our own eyes. "That's why the pirates came to life?" Sinead asked. Dr. D nodded.
"That's why in over 200 years no one's ever found the Scarlet Skull. It lies in the realm of the dead, and we will too, unless we travel back through that cloud."
The Cassandra roared forward. Above us, a pale, full moon drifted low over the ocean. We were traveling in the right direction. Was there a way back to our world? We didn't speak. We stared straight ahead. The pale moonlight. And the waves glimmered gray and dark green. Then suddenly the moon vanished. The lights died. The water faded to black. Total darkness. A thick, choking blackness. I tried to speak, but the darkness swallowed all sound. We found it, I thought. Found the black cloud. We're sailing through it. When a full white moon finally appeared in the sky, all three of us cheered. We hugged one another, laughing, shouting, a wild, happy dance on the deck. The best celebration of my life.
"The treasure!" Dr. D cried. "We're safe now. Let's check it out."
I led the way down the steps to the cabin and gasped in shock. "It's gone!" I cried. "Chest is gone!" Dr. D scratched his head.
"Oh well," he said. "Came back safe, but empty-handed."
That's a typical day in the life of the undersea mutant, I thought. Spotted something sparkle in the cabin and floor. The skull! The red jeweled skull! "Check it out!" I shouted. We didn't come back empty-handed. Reached down to pick it up. "Billy, don't!" Sinead cried. "Don't touch it! Did you forget it bites?" "Don't be crazy," I said. "We're back in the land of the living. No, it's just a plain ordinary jewel." Picked it up, opened my mouth in a deafening howl of agony. "Yow! Bit me! It bit me!" Sinead leaped down in horror and screamed at the top of her lungs. I laughed and tossed the big jewel from hand to hand. "Just kidding this time. Really got you, Sinead." Handed the scarlet skull to Dr. D. "Guess this adventure's over."
"Yes, it is. Going to radio the base. Let them know we're okay."
Followed him up to the control cabin. Switched on the radio, turned a few dials.
"Dr. D to base,"
said to the microphone.
"Dr. D to base. Can you hear? Anyone hear me?"
Heard a crackling sound from the speaker we heard.
The bones they crack, the bones they creak, the men come alive, the briny deep. You ended our day, death, you end our sleep. The men come alive in the briny deep. And that is the main story. But there is another. Yes, the HorrorLand section. The invitation. Dear Billy and Shanae Deep, you're in deep trouble now. Don't scream, but you've won a free week-long stay at HorrorLand Theme Park, the scariest place on earth. Bring your parents, bring your swimsuits and your diving gear. Bring sure to bring some shark food, like your hands and feet. Even clothes, free passes to our Hungry Croc piggyback ride. We're having fun as a snap. You'll enjoy a visit to the Bat Barn Cafe. Join our thirsty vampires there for a warm drink. You don't need a ticket for the 20-mile swim for your life ride. We'll know you'll find it breathtaking. Your luxury room at the Staggered Inn and offers 24-hour tomb service. Oops, of course, we need room service. Come be our guest. Look forward to scaring you. Please RSVP to Die Kweski Guest Relations. Chapter 1. My sister Shanae and I were thrilled. Shanae was excited about going to Horrorland. It's nice to me for the whole week. A lot of our friends have been there, told us all about it. This is the most awesome park on earth. Shanae and I spent the morning just walking around the park, taking it all in. Believe it or not, the first time I wanted to go was to do something. First thing I wanted to do was go on the bottomless canoe ride. I know. Shanae had just had a horrifying time on the water. Guess that's one reason we were so happy to be in a place where the scares weren't real. Never made it to the bottomless canoe. After lunch, we trotted through the hotel lobby. Saw two very unhappy girls at the front desk. About our age, both tall and thin, coppery hair. One wore a pale green t-shirt over white tennis shorts. The other wore a short red and yellow sundress. That's impossible! That's impossible! The girl in the sundress cried. She pounded her head on the front desk. The horror behind the desk shrugged. Go figure. That's what you told us the last time! The girl cried. It has to be a mistake! Shanae and I stopped to watch. What was their problem? The girls stepped away from the desk, one of them trembling, the other one trying to comfort her. Of course it's a mistake, she said. Shanae could never resist trouble. She pulled me over to the two girls. What's wrong? She asked. They both jumped. I guess we startled them. My parents are missing, one in the sundress said. No big deal, Shanae said. Our parents are missing too. They both gasped. Yeah, I added. Who needs parents? Meant as a joke, trying to get them to lighten up. But they didn't laugh. Told us their name. Brittany Crosby and Molly Malari. Your parents are missing too, for real? Brittany asked. Nothing's real here, I said. Led them further away from the dude behind the front desk. Don't be upset, Shanae said. Our family checked in this morning. Outside my room, I heard horrors talking in the hall. Said they always sneak parents away to a hotel of their own. They did it to us, I said. Went to our parents' room. They were gone. Molly shook her head. You mean it's a joke? She asked. Then the whores lie and say your parents checked out and went home without you?
Sinead nodded. They do it to all kids. It's one of their favorite scares. Like everything else. Big fake. Brittany let out a sigh. Knew my parents wouldn't just leave.
Never been here before. Or you've never been here before? I asked.
Brittany and Molly shook their heads.
Brittany got a special invitation, Molly said. We were totally psyched.
Us too, I said. See, Brittany was still worried about something. My dad left his new digital camera in their room, she said, pulled it out of her bag.
Can't you just return it when you see him? I asked.
You don't understand, Brittany said. He left a picture in it. It's crazy. A picture of Slappy.
Fake news!
Who? Sinead and I asked at once.
A ventriloquist dummy,
Molly said. From back home, Brittany added. No way that picture could be in the camera. No way Slappy could be here in HorrorLand.
Stared at them. Brittany was trembling. Molly looked really upset too. Ventriloquist dummy? What's the big deal?
Can we see it? Sinead asked. Show us.
Again, Brittany glanced at Molly. She was definitely stressed. Figured there was something about this dummy they weren't telling us. Brittany raised the camera and clicked it on. Pressed a button, squinted at the view screen.
Weird,
she muttered. Molly grabbed Brittany's arm.
What's wrong? Brittany pressed the button again.
And then again.
The photo's gone, she said. No, wait. Let out a gasp. Held the camera up to her friend. I don't believe it. Molly, look!
Sinead and I edged up behind Molly so we could see the photo too. Squinted at the little screen. And there were in the photo Brittany, Molly, Sinead, and me. And the dummy was standing right behind us. Chapter 2.
How'd you take this picture of us? Sinead asked Brittany. Camera's in your bag.
Sinead had her feelings. Her face all scrunched up the way she does when she's puzzled. Brittany didn't answer. She stared at the screen. She was breathing really hard. She looked totally frightened. She glanced all around the lobby as if that dummy could be hiding in any corner. Imagine being afraid of an old ventriloquist dummy. Finally, Molly took the camera from her.
Must be some kind of HorrorLand trick, she said softly. Forget about it.
Oh, that's wrong, boy. Must be some kind of HorrorLand trick, she said softly. Forget about it. We came here to have fun.
You got that right, I said.
Here we are in the most awesome theme park on Earth. Let's go go crazy.
I think I'm already going crazy, Brittany muttered. She shuddered and tucked the camera into her bag. You're right. Some kind of joke. Try to have fun.
We're gonna say cheese and die, take it? Oh no, this is the HorrorLand section of the HorrorLand subseries, which has a continuing narrative. After each new story, those characters get added to the continued narrative as the plot unfolds. Right now, their intermission. I don't know what this would be considered. But yeah, they're interacting with people, the two of the characters from the previous one, which was around Slappy. The two girls follow Sinead and me out to the park. Sunny, breezy day. Zombie Plaza was crowded with families hurrying in all directions. I heard screams and laughter all around. A horror walked by carrying a bunch of helium balloons, all black. His purple tail bounced up and down as he struggled to hold on to the long strings in the strong gust of winds.
How about a balloon?
He asked, stepping in front of us.
What color would you like? Black?
Before we could answer, a blast of wind sent him stumbling away. A female horror came by, wearing a black and white signboard. The big letters in the front read, Fun Thrills the Free Fall Bungee Ride. The sign on her back said,
One-way tickets only. She stopped and called to the four of us. Want to try it? It doesn't hurt at all until you land. Pennywise, we watched in the background going, Motherfucker! We laughed. I could see Brittany and Molly were starting to cheer up. My friend Jason back home said he had to try the bombless canoe ride, Brittany said. He said you get real wet. Shanae and I were actually just talking about that ride, I said. Brittany pointed out across the plaza. It's over there, on the other side of the quicksand beach. It's over there, other side of quicksand beach. Yo, quicksand beach, yes! I cried, pumped my fist in the air. We gotta try that first. I think they have real quicksand. Shanae gave me a shove. Haven't you had enough, sand traps? No such thing as enough, I said. Took off running towards the big sign that read Quicksand Beach, sink or sink. As I ran closer, I could see kids up to their waist in the sand, screaming, frantically struggling to climb out. I knew it had to be totally awesome. Stepped up to the entrance booth. Shanae held back. Billy, you're totally nuts. I can't believe you want to do this after what we went through with that sand pit. This time it's just a joke, I replied. Horde leaned out of the booth. He asked our shoe sizes, then pulled out 4 pairs of blue rubber shoes, set them on the counter. These are for walking on the quicksand, he said. Of course, you won't walk very far. I'll hop off here. Knuckles wanted to pull me into Space Vietnam. Have a good stream, Doppel. All right. Thank you. Think we're getting close to finishing up. So thank you for stopping by. I appreciate it. Molly took the strands of her hair. What happens when we sink? He handed her a pair of shoes. Miguel, Anda, hold your breath as long as you can, he said. Sometimes it helps. Chapter 3. We stepped out onto the wet yellow sand. Molly grabbed my arm. He was joking, right? Everything's a joke here, remember, I said. Took 5, 6 steps. The rubber shoes made a squish, squish, squish sound. Clumps of sand stuck in the sole. Quicksand beach with a large square area of sand facing a tiny green pond. Like a big sandbox, the beach was fenced off on 3 sides to keep innocent people from wandering onto it, I guess. It's so soft and mushy, it's hard to balance, Molly said. She had her arms stuck out at her sides, like she was on a tightrope. Like walking on pudding, she said. Kinda quiet here. Gazed around. Kids we saw earlier were gone. The only one on the beach now. Squish, squish. Whoa! I let out a shout as I felt myself start to sink. Shoes were stuck in the murky, wet sand. In seconds my ankles disappeared. Sand rose up like a goopy ocean wave over my calves. Help! Shanae twisted and squirmed. Started to sink too. Only a few seconds for her knees to disappear, dropping fast. Turned my head and saw Brittany and Molly waving their arms frantically. I already sunk to their waist. Are you having fun yet? I laughed. It feels kind of weird, doesn't it? So lumpy and wet. Expect to be so hot. I don't like it. Like singing and vomit, Molly cried. Thanks for sharing that, I groaned. Saw a human hand poking up from below the surface. I had to study it twice. It looked so real. Janae slapped my shoulder and pointed. Check those out. Followed her gaze and saw yellow bones, skeletons of small animals trapped in the quicksand. Those skeletons, Shanae said. They look like rat skeletons. Totally fake, I said. But whoa. Sank to my armpits in the murky sand. Had to raise my arm high to keep them above the surface. Tried to kick my legs, tried to raise my knees. I had sunk too deep. Every move I made forced me to sink lower. Help! I heard Brittany's shrill cry. Isn't anyone going to rescue us? Yeah, who's going to pull us out? Molly's voice shook. Felt myself drop. Sand rose to my chin. Sharp, sour smell invaded my nostrils. Billy, Sinead whispered, this isn't fun. We're gonna go under.
Isn't anyone watching us?
Molly sputtered. I started to answer and got a mouthful of sticky wet sand. Finished coughing, choking. Heard the voices, low voices nearby. Low voices of men chanting in unison. The bones they crack, the bones they creep, the men come alive in the briny deep. You ended our death, you ended our sleep. The men come alive in the briny deep. No! I heard Sinead moan beside me. I tried to turn to her. My face was sinking into the wet sand. My brain whirled. I knew Captain Ben's dead pirates couldn't be here in HorrorLand. No way. How could we hear the same frightening chant? The same low voice? Sucked in a deep breath. Held it. The hot sand covered my nose. Everything went black as my head sank under the surface. Can't see. Can't breathe. And the chanting voices were all I could hear. Hold on. BRB, gonna feed the cats. Alright. I'm back. Do. Yeah. Alright, we're almost done. Hold on, let me get a swimming water. There we go. Chapter 4. Down. I held my breath till my lungs felt about to burst. My heart pounded in my chest. Isn't anyone going to rescue us? Then I heard a loud whoosh. Pushed down hard. The heavy sand fell away. Could breathe again. Could see it. It was surrounded in darkness. Faster, I was sliding on my back, straight down. Took me a few seconds to realize it was a narrow glass tube, smooth like a steep water slide. Kept my arms pressed close to my side as I shot down harder and harder. So hard, in fact, now that it shot me back up again. Wow, an awesome ride! Sailed up high and burst through an opening back into the bright sunlight. See the whole park. Down below, saw the tower of the staggered inn, tiny graveyard surrounded by woods, the bobbing black balloons in Zombie Plaza. This is like flying, I thought. Then I let out a cry as I pulled down into the tube again, slid back into a cold darkness. A heartbeat later, strong hands grabbed my ankles. A grinning horror pulled me out of the chute and set me on the hard, solid ground. My legs felt shaky. My heart was still racing. The horror raced an hairdryer. A big electric hairdryer blew all the sand off me. 2 seconds later, Sinead came shooting out. Her hair stuck out wildly around her head. She'd been struck by lightning. Had a huge grin on her face. Awesome! She shouted, pumping her fist in the air. First it's terrifying, then awesome! The horror blew the sand off her. Both started laughing and dancing around. Such an insane thing. Be sinking in sand then flying in the sky. Hey, after a few seconds, stopped my crazy dance. Back to the chutes. Where are Brittany and Molly? Smoothing her hair down with both hands, Sinead stepped over to me. I'll stare at the bottom of the slides. Oh no. They went under the same time we did. Oh no, they went under the same time we did, I cried. So where are they? Sinead asked. I had a sudden heavy feeling in my stomach. Something gone wrong. Terribly wrong, I said. They must be trapped under the quicksand. I ran up to the horror, sitting on a low stool, hunched over a copy of Scary People magazine. See our friends, I cried. The horror shook his head. He didn't look up from the magazine. But I sputtered. They were with us. They sank the quicksand with us. Didn't see him. The horror muttered, licked a bee off his purple sleeve, and it fluttered to the ground. I don't know why people will ask these things anything. They're not going to get an honest answer. Turned the page of a magazine. Finally looked at me. Beats me, kid. I only work here. But, I stammered again. Got a lopsided grin on his face. Why you try the lost and found, he said, chuckling to himself and lowered his face to the magazine. Big help, I muttered. Hurried back to Sinead, still staring at the slide. Gotta be just another HorrorLand scare, she said. They probably both slid out somewhere else. Dude's just trying to scare us. Glanced all around Quicksand Beach. No sign of the other two girls. Maybe you're right, I said. Maybe they're waiting for us at the exit. Turned again to lead the way out. Stopped when I heard a low, raspy voice. Faint but clear, so close to my ear, it gave me a chill. Oi, matey. Do you want to see your friends again? Turned to Sinead. Didn't she hear that? Her eyes were bulging. Her mouth hadn't dropped open. Captain Ben? She whispered. Impossible. Both knew it was impossible. Whirled around in a circle. No one in sight. Where'd the voice come from? A pirate chanting, too. Were there hidden speakers in the sand? Sinead shuddered. Someone here knows what happened to us that summer, said in a trembling voice. Someone's trying to scare us for real. Chapter 6. We started to run. We had to get away from there. Kept expecting to hear Captain Ben again, the frightening chant of his men. Brittany and Molly weren't waiting for us at the exit. grazed up and down quicksand beach. 4 or 5 kids were sinking in the sand, laughing as they struggled to climb out. I led the way to Zombie Plaza, shielding my eyes in the bright sunlight in search for the 2 girls. No sign of them. Weird, Sinead muttered. Maybe they're back at the hotel. Maybe, I said. I didn't know what to believe. A woman in a black apron stood behind a little green purple car, held up a sugar cone. You 2 look like you could use some ice cream, she said. He was right. Throat was dry. Had a hot beads of sweat running down my forehead. What flavors do you have? I asked. Opened the lid, peered into the car. I got liver and onion. That's my most popular. Let me see. Still got calf brain cookie dough left. Yuck. Do you have vanilla? I asked. She nodded. Yes, I have vanilla split pea onion dip. What the fuck? No, thanks, I said. Sinead grinned. Dare you to try the liver? No way, I said, starting to walk away. Blocked the way. Thought you were totally brave now. Go ahead, try it. Horace scooped a big ball of ice cream on the top of the snow. Handed it to me. Liver on a garlic cone. My stomach gurgled. The ice cream was a sick green brown. Saw big lumps in it. Hold your nose while you swallow it, the Horace said. Helps a little. My hand trembled. Held the cone away from me, but Sinead pushed it up to my face. Go ahead, Billy, lick it. Be brave. Take a lick. Held my breath, stuck my tongue out, took a tiny lick. Ugh. Suddenly gurgled again. Hey, took another lick. Taste it. Swallow. Then I burst out laughing. It's chocolate. The whore began to laugh too. Welcome to HorrorLand, she said. Sinead and I stared at the cone. Then started at the hotel to find Brittany and Molly. Saw a banner strung across the plaza. The playpen. That's the game's arcade, I said. You know, all the carnival games? On the way. Let's check it out. What about the 2 girls? Sinead asked. They'll be at the hotel for sure, I said. Just want to see what games they have here. Sign over the gate read, is not whether you win or lose, how much you scream your head off. I saw 2 long rows of game booths with wide aisles in between. The aisles were jammed with people eager to play. They all seemed to be having a lot of fun. Games look awesome, I said. Check that one out. Tarantula races. We jogged closer. 4 kids lined up in front of the booth. Or placed a live tarantula on a kid's head. Don't let it fall, the horse said. Last kid to get bitten wins. Sinead rolled her eyes. Not my idea of a fun time, she said. We have a winner. A horse shouted from a game booth down the aisle. You win a live rattlesnake. People laughed and cheered. Across the aisle stood a game called Head Toss. 2 girls held real-looking human heads in their hands. The idea was to toss a head onto a tall metal spike. Stuck on the spike, you won a prize. Watch them toss their heads one at a time. Heads bounced off the spike, rolled away. Girls walked off, shrugging their shoulders. Boy about our age stepped up to the booth, or handed him a head with short blonde hair. You know that boy. Looks familiar, Sinead said. Pulled me closer. Kid was tall and athletic. Wavy brown hair, brown eyes. Sleeveless black shirt pulled back over faded jeans. I snickered. You just think he's cute. He is cute, Sinead said. Look, is he smiling at me? He has a great smile. He isn't smiling at you. The ugly head is smiling at you, I said. Why don't you give it a big kiss? Sinead slapped my arm. How funny. Are you not? Boy raised the head in one hand. Before he tossed it, reached to his jeans pocket. I was reaching for a token. Game all require copper-colored horror tokens, but no. Pulled out a small gray card. Tapped the card twice inside the booth. What's that? I whispered. He shrugged. Here's some kind of good luck charm. Boy tossed the head. Slid onto a spike, spun a few times, stayed on. A winner! The horror shouted. Everybody, we have a winner! Sinead and I followed the boy down a row of carnival booths. Stopped at one of the red signs. Spin the wheel of misfortune. Big wheel was covered with bad things, like what could happen to a person. Headache, icky, itchy where you can't scratch. Spider on your tongue, beheading. Only 2 squares on the wheel read winner. No way you can win this one, I muttered. Why does he even try it? You can only lose. Kid stepped up to the wheel. Yet again. Didn't put in a token. Instead he put out that gray card. Tapped it twice on the side of the booth. Put it back in the pocket. spun the wheel hard. Click, click, click. It went around and around for at least a minute, and it stopped on winner. The horror scratched his head. I don't believe it. Our first winner. This dude can't lose, I said to Shanae. And did I mention he's cute too? She said, grinning. Followed him to a game called Vampire Darts. Sign read, send a silver dart into the vampire's heart. The horror handed the kid a long silver dart. The target was a tiny red heart on the back of the wall of the booth. The kid tapped the little gray card twice inside the booth. Then he aimed, tossed the dart. 3 guesses what happened. Yes. Winner again. This is too good to be true, I said. Maybe it was. Everything changed all at once. The horror in the dark booth didn't hand him a prize. That he singled the 2 horrors across the aisle. Horrors wore black and orange monster police uniform, big silver badges on their chests. They turned instantly and began moving towards him. Boy took off running. Stop right there! One of the horrors shouted. Stop now! Pushed past a group of kids, hurtling after the boy. Boy ran towards us. Brown hair was flying up behind him. See the look of panic on his face. Hey! I cried as he bumped against me. Shoved something inside my hand. Hide it! Quick! Hide it! He gasped. Quick! Hide it! He didn't stop. He zigzagged across the crowd, down the long carnival's aisle. The 2 monster police tromped past Shanae and me, running hard. People screamed and jumped out of the way. I opened my hand and studied the object the boy gave me. A gray plastic card. Room key card. Shoved it into my jean pocket and kept my hand on it. Oh no, she cried. One of the 2 monster police caught up the boy. One held him. The other searched his pockets. He's sick. What do they want? Shanae cried. I knew what they were looking for. The key card. But why? What's the big deal with the plastic card? Uh-oh, I gasped. One of the 2 cops suddenly turned. His narrow eyes at Shanae and me. See the boy hand the card to me? Cops darted towards me. Moved fast. Partner let go of the boy and followed. They're coming over here, Shanae cried. What do they want? What should we do? Chapter 7. Shanae and I pushed through a group of teenagers in front of the dart booth. Then lowered our heads and ran. Jumped over a baby stroller, ignored the startled cries of the mom and dad, and kept going. Whoa! I skidded to a stop in front of a 10-foot-tall gorilla, a man in a costume. I didn't wait to figure it out. Gorilla let out a roar, squeezed right between the legs, and took off. Our sneakers pounded on the concrete. Shanae and I darted across Zombie Plaza, kept glancing back. No sign of the 2 monster police. Lose us in the crowd. Gasping for breath, I slipped into the hotel, held the door for Shanae, ran through the lobby into the elevator. We didn't say a word till we reached my room. Then we both collapsed onto the long couch, panting, groaning, wiping sweat off our foreheads. Oh, wow, Shanae muttered. Oh, wow, oh, wow. What was that about? They were looking for this, I said. Reached in my pocket, pulled out the plastic card. That boy gave it to me when he ran past. What is it? Shanae grabbed it from my hand and studied it. Card he kept tapping on the booth. Weird. Look, it has words on it. Handed it back. Turned it over in the hand. The letter P. The rest had all been rubbed out. Shanae scrunched up her face. P? What does that stand for? Playpen? Name of the game arcade? Beats me. I shoved it in my pocket. Told me to hide it. Shanae's mouth dropped open. Billy, we're forgetting about Brittany and Molly. How could we do that? She cried. I hope they came back to the hotel. I picked up the room phone. Called the hotel operator. See if I can get their room. Really worried, Shanae said, hugging herself. I hope they're okay. Me too, I said. Pushed 0 and waited for the operator to come. Heard 2 rings and a click, then pulled the phone away from my ear. Just a man laughing, I told Shanae. Listen. Shoved the phone up to her ear. Oh, totally. Nasty evil laugh, Shanae exclaimed, slammed the receiver down, picked up the phone again, try another number, pushed the number for room service. Felt a chill down my back. Do you remember that laugh? I asked. Shanae gasped. It sounded like Captain Ben. It sounded like Captain Ben. She put 0 again. We both listened. The phone fell out of Shanae's hand, started to tremble. Grasped my arm. Billy, she whispered. Let's get out of here. Chapter 8. We stepped out the long, dark hall. I pulled the door shut behind us. The evil laughter still rang in my ear. Every time I heard it, I felt cold all over. Where are we going? I asked. To the front desk, Shanae said. We gotta find out about Brittany and Molly before we leave. Made our way quickly down the hall. The elevator doors creaked open. A boy stepped out. The boy gave me the weird key card. Hey! Let us start a cry. You guys again. You on the 13th floor too? They let you go, I cried. That was totally disturbing, he said. Do you believe that? What was their problem? He said his name was Matt Daniels. I handed him back his card. Why did the monster police want this so badly, I asked. No clue, he said. Turned to Shanae. Sorry if I got you two in trouble. No problem, she said. Cheeks turned pink. Really did have a crush on him. Where'd you get that card? Matt held it in front of him. In a weird way, a whore came up to me on the plaza, shoved it in my hand. I'm real nervous. Had to guard it. Said it would take me places. Squinted at it. Take you where? Matt shrugged. Beats me. Whore took off before I could ask him anything. I'd use it on those games. He could help me win. Didn't even need tokens. That's truly disturbing, I said. Matt tucked the card into his pocket. I don't want to get it to those cops. The whore told me to guard it, and I don't want to see what else it can do. We're going to the front desk, Shanae told him. The two girls we met, Brittany and Molly. They went up to Quicksand Beach, but they didn't come out. You want to see if they came back here? Flashed Matt a smile. Want to come with us? Matt shrugged. Sure, he said, creaking and groaning. The elevator carried us down to the first floor. My room's awesome, Matt said as he waited for the doors to open. It's free, believe that? You got some kind of free invitation. Don't know why. So do we, I said. It's like a big mystery. How did we get picked? Brittany and Molly, too, Shanae said. I guess we won some kind of contest. Billy and I don't remember entering any contest. Me either, Matt muttered. Weird. On the first floor, we stepped into a long hallway. The walls were covered in fake cobwebs. A giant spider bobbed and spun from webs dangling from the ceiling lights. We passed a row of rooms and turned a corner. I think the front desk is that way, I said, pointing. Shanae and Matt weren't listening to me. Stared at the wide glass window. Saw the word cafe in big red letters on the side of the window. Oh, wow! Pulled me back to the window. Peered to the cafe. It's Brittany and Molly, I cried. Girls sat across from each other at a very little round table in front of a huge mirror that hung on the wall. Tall ice cream sodas in front of them, and the girl had taken a sip. Why did it look so sad, I asked. Shanae pounded on the window. Hey! Brittany! Molly! Two girls stared at each other. They didn't move. Shanae pounded harder on the window. Can't hear us, she said. Let's go in. I had the door and tried to pull it open. Didn't budge. Tried pushing it. No way. Shoved harder. No. Just my face against the glass to get a better look inside. No other entrance. No other windows. Well, why can't they hear us? Shanae cried. Pounded on the window with her fist. Cupped her hands around her mouth, screamed their names. Two girls didn't move. Pounded on the door. Kicked the door. Made a tremendous bang. Two girls sat staring at their ice cream sodas. What's going on? I cried. Why can't they hear us? Chapter 9. Shanae didn't give up. My sister never gives up. Pounded on the window, shouted their names. What's that? Matt asked. Pointed at the metal box next to the door. Check it out. There's a slot in it. Give her room keys, open the card. The door. Opened my purple and green key from the wallet, shoved it in the slot, tried the door. No, it didn't budge. I had an idea. Matt, try the secret card. Maybe you need that weird card to get in this restaurant. Worth a shot, Matt said. Puts the gray card in the slot. Green light flashed on. Door buzzed. Pushed open the door. Yes! We're in! Followed him into the cafe. Stopped short. Let a startled cry. Hey! And an empty room. Where'd they go? I cried. The place totally empty, Matt said. Walked over to Brittany and Molly's table. No ice cream sodas. Napkins were neatly folded. Silverware hadn't been used. Weird, I muttered. Turned and gazed in the mirror. Covered the entire back wall. My reflection and Matt's reflection stared back at us. One reflection was missing. Shanae, I called. Where are you? Where'd you go? Don't be funny, Shanae said. Standing right next to you. Went around. My breath caught in my throat. I can't see you, I said. Don't be stupid. No time for a dumb joke. I can't see you either. There's Shanae, Matt said. Not a joke. Look! Pointed to the mirror. Looked back again. Saw two of us in the mirror, my reflection next to Matt's reflection. Beside me, I heard Shanae gasp. Oh no! I'm invisible! To be continued in Goosebumps HorrorLand number 3, Monster Blood for Breakfast. And that is the end of that. Also, apparently these two are the same characters from the previous Deep Troubles. I didn't remember the characters that well when I read them. So, I guess that's on me. That's an L on my end. Alright. So, now that we've wrapped things up, I think it's time I brought things to a close. So, I'd like to wish you all a fond farewell. And thank you for stopping by. If you like this, of course, follow me on Twitch, Twitter, and YouTube. And if you haven't already, please consider subscribing, because it really helps me out. So, until next time, fare thee well.